180 slides are still there. Okay. Thanks very much. So I'm going to tell you actually a little bit about where we've come from scientifically, the research we've done, and to an extent where we are and where we think it's going. But of course, first, I have disclosure of my potential conflicts. These are the various organizations. I'm director of an institute at the University of California, Davis, and we solicit support from a variety of organizations, foundations, and we've launched companies from the program, and obviously I'm in conflict on those bases. But actually also, my wife is a lactation consultant. If I step out of bounds in breastfeeding, then she is quick to bring me back. Actually, for all of you young people looking to a career in science, it is absolutely essential you find a partner who is very tolerant of your career choice, and Shirley has been absolutely essential to our success. Also, I have oldest daughter, Kendall. She's a pediatrician, completing her fellowship in neonatology at Seattle Children's. The minute I start talking about babies, back I come. And Kate is in theater in New York, and every time I show her picture, I have to pay her. So it's clear I am the most conflicted man in the room. So I'm going to talk about the research we do at the University of California, Davis. We have an unusual institute that has very specific mission. How should we eat in the 21st century? And how do we create value for agriculture? Agriculture is the world's largest enterprise, but it's basically locked in a quantity model. Make more, make it cheap. It sounds great, and we need to make more, but that quantity model is driving quality out, and it's making it so that it's very difficult even to pay the workers who do it. So we have to create value as we create improvements in health. That's our mission. I'm going to take you through our perspective, and we use evolution as basically the scientific principles on which we base our discoveries and our models. And remember, that's basically from a Darwinian perspective, the survival of the fittest, and that's one perspective. But actually, the truth is, there's another way to look at it. And it's actually the true way. In order for traits to emerge, someone has to die. And the Darwin Awards basically make this point very vividly. It's a ruthless process. It's been going on, in essence, since the beginning, with traits selected by a life or death decision every time. And that's why it's so powerful. And again, to reinforce, there's an interesting genetic basis to the selection in humans. These are real photographs, by the way. So when you look at the selective pressure that's ongoing in humans today, there's a rather disturbing and frankly very apparent genetic basis to selective pressure. I'm sorry, men. The minute we're not essential, we are at such competitive disadvantage. I don't think we have a future. So, what we take is this approach of evolution to this whole concept. How should we eat? And the reason why we do that is very simple. It became clear 20 years ago that with the arrival of the essential nutrients, all the vitamins, minerals, amino acids, and fatty acids, the world thought diet and health was done. We know what we're doing, make sure everybody's got all the vitamins they need, the minerals, no deficiencies, we're good to go, we'll be healthy for the rest of eternity. Would that were the case. Over the last 50 years, it has become increasingly apparent that deficiency diseases are not the problem. Unbalanced diets, by however one defines it, are destroying the extension in life that medicine, engineering, hygiene have given us. So we should be the healthiest people in human history, and we're desperately not. We're living longer, but those lives are not the complete healthy lives that they could be, should be. And what we realized is we really don't have the foggiest idea how to go forward. because ultimately we don't want a disease-centric basis, which is what health is today. Health today is defined as disease not. If you have a disease, you're diseased. If you don't have a disease, you're healthy. That's not good enough. If we want to actually improve health, then we're going to have to figure out ways to make healthy people healthier. How do we do that? We really don't have a foggiest idea. Scientifically, there are no targets. What processes, structures, biochemical pathways do you act upon in healthy people such that they get overall healthier? If you take a disease-centric approach and you lower the risk of one thing, but in so doing increase the risk of anything else, I haven't made you healthier at all. We need to, in essence, understand health and its processes well enough that we can make you healthier all over through diet. And that's what the goal was. How do we start again? Look at health and diet from that perspective. So we thought evolution can instruct us. The phylogenetic tree from viruses to humans, it's very clear. We live on top of a microbial world. And the question then became, okay, can we use this massive resource to understand diet and health? University of California, Davis is the largest repository of genomes in the world. We have genomes for viruses, bacteria, yeast, mold, algae, insects, plants, animals, humans. A magnificent genetic legacy that we now have literally in detail, in molecular understanding. So we can take this evolutionary approach in detail and ask a very simple question. What evolved to be food? To be nourishing, to, in essence, as food, improve the health of consumers, to be protective, to prevent disease, to supply and support performance. So we took this evolutionary approach with this question. It's bad news. It's a war out there. And in fact, throughout evolution, the single dominant selective pressure was to avoid being food. Avoiding being eaten is absolutely necessary. If you've been delicious and nutritious, you're not likely in the gene pool anymore. So the elaboration of various strategies to avoid being food has been the dominant pressure throughout evolution. And animals, birds, insects fly, run away. Plants can't. And so they've elaborated remarkable chemical strategies to make themselves poisonous or anti-nutritious or just plain so unpalatable we won't eat them. So if you're interested in getting rid of the speaker of the evening, plants can tell you. But from an evolutionary perspective, this won't answer our fundamental question. But there is one thing: lactation. This remarkable idea, this, in essence, emergence of a feeding strategy wherein mothers literally dissolve themselves to make a complete and comprehensive diet for their infant. What a remarkable idea. And the success of mammals is the result of that very interesting elaboration of evolution. And so our research model is the mother-infant pair. Everything in milk costs the mother. If it doesn't profit the infant, the cost of the mother will drive it out of evolution. But if anything in the milk improves the health and success of that infant relative to its genetic peers, it's hard to imagine anything under stronger selective pressure as a food component. And this Darwinian engine of diet and health has been going generation after generation for 200 million years. And so clearly we knew this is what we have to understand. This is our Rosetta Stone. If we can understand how milk works, then we can provide the targets to scientists. This is how you're going to build the next generation of agriculture. This is you're going to how to measure health, guide health. This is our model. And we've been running with it. But it took a lot. So at the time, we had no genomes of mammals annotated for lactation. So we had to assemble an entire community of scientists from around the world, a consortium of geneticists and annotation and computational biologists, led by Danielle LeMay, to assemble all of the genomes of marsupials to mammals annotated for lactation, so we could begin the process of saying, this is what lactation is fundamentally. It was, in essence, a big task, but it was a successful one. We started our consortium in 2004, and these are the papers published linking the authors together who collaborated. In our first year, we had 4 papers, 4 collaborations. By 2013, we couldn't use this display anymore. There were so many papers in collaboration. We've had 6,000 scientific papers come out of this consortium as collaborative research. So it has been a very successful process, putting people together, getting them focused on milk, and running with that annotation. So let me give you some examples of what milk is as a lactation strategy. We look at marsupials to humans. And what can lactation teach us all the way through? So one model is the black bear. Apologies, a Canadian example. The mother bear, pregnant, goes into a cave in the fall, walls herself in, and then gives birth, lactates 1 to 2 cubs for 4 months without ever so much as waking up, much less going out to feed. The entire lactation is based on her resources. This is the most magnificent example of nutritional sustainability. If you want to know how to build a sustainable food supply, the black bear is a wonderful example. And of course, mother goes to sleep, wakes up, her family's intact. Who wouldn't like that? So, the opposite end of the spectrum is the hooded seal. This is, again, a Canadian example. A seal born on ice floes about the size of this room, right in the middle of polar bear country. And to a polar bear, these are lunch. It's the most hostile environment imaginable. How does lactation deal with that hostile environment? It's fast. Lactation in this mammal only lasts 4 days. But in each of those 4 days, the mother seal transfers through milk 7 kilos, 15 pounds of fat. At the end of those 4 days, that seal pup is 50 pounds fatter. The genius is it's got enough fuel to swim for weeks in the open ocean, free from the predation of polar bears. And the mother seal teaches it how to swim, how to feed, an ingenious strategy. But there's some other things that we can learn from this model. During those 4 days, this seal pup is in clearly a hypercaloric state. It's gaining weight. And it's not exercising it off, it's just lying there. And yet, through those 4 days and for the rest of its life, it maintains wonderful control of its fuel, of its glucose, of its insulin regulation.